Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for the Special Fund Investment Committee for February 23rd, 2026. I'm Dennis Kavanaugh, acting as chair today. And we have a quorum for the meeting as well as the important staff and consultants. So the first item on our agenda is to review and approve our regular meeting minutes from last month of January 27th, 2026. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
Nope.
Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Kennington has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
And Aaron seconded. All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay. Review, discussion, or action regarding special fund investment activity, including asset allocation targets and ranges.
Yes, as of last Friday, equities were at 51.6%, which is above the target of 45. And fixed income was at 46%, which is below the target of 50, but still within acceptable ranges. Cash is now at about $10 million. We did complete the purchase of the building last week. So we transferred over, I think, a total of $8.5 million to purchase that building.
Any questions on this report? Okay, the next item is Northern Trust Index Fund, Large Cap Growth Amendment, ICA Amendment number 2. Update or action? Guy, would that be you? Or we have no information on it at this point?
I thought that was Janine, but I'm not sure where she is.
All right.
I think you skipped Makita's part of the agenda item 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just looking at the agenda was a little.
Yeah, I usually
Weird
do
on
a
that.
quick update and then Makita does their report.
Right. Well, sorry about that. It's only my second or third time doing chair for this one, so I'm still in my probation period. So our folks at Makita, let's go ahead.
All right, sounds good. Thank you all. Good afternoon. Sorry I was a minute late, having a little technical difficulties, but hopefully you all received a report called Performance Update, and I'll just give a very brief update on markets, and then Imran will talk about performance of the fund. So on page 2 of 12, there are index return for a number of major market indices. As you can see, for the month of January, market returns were pretty good again. There was some dispersion though. If you look under the hood, you can see both, first of all, overall domestic equity as measured by the Russell 3000 index up around 1.5%, 1.6% more precisely. But if you look at the Russell 1000 growth and index and value indices, you can see a pretty big spread there. So your typical big growth companies, the large cap tech stocks, the Mag 7, et cetera, down for the month, whereas the value stocks up around 4.6%. So that's about a 6% difference between value and growth. Just as a reminder, large cap growth, tech stocks have really driven the market for a number of years, but we saw that start to rotate late last year, and we saw that again in the month of January. And just a prelude for February, we're seeing that again in February as well. So finally seeing some rotation out of the biggest companies in the world and the run they've had for several years. You can also see down towards the bottom, the Russell 2000 index, which is the 2000 smallest companies in the U.S., outperformed large cap. So again, some rotation out of large cap. Foreign equities did well, overall up 6%. If you look at the MSCI All Country World Index, excluding the U.S., partially buoyed by weakness in the U.S. dollar, but even in local currency terms, still up in the 3 to 4% range. So overall return 6% for equities outside the U.S. And speaking of weak U.S. dollar, you can see the commodity index at the very bottom up over 10% for the month. So that was, partially helped by the weak dollar, but also maybe not for those of us on the call, but people in other parts of the country have seen some very severe winter weather in the past month or so, and that has driven natural gas prices, heating oil up in the 20 to 30% range. Gold and silver, even though they had a pullback in the very last day of the month, still did really well in the month of January. So commodities overall spiked for at least most of January. And bonds just kind of continue to do their things with low monthly returns, but positive. You'll see the Bloomberg Aggregate Index up 0.1%. Imran, you want to run through performance?
Yep, happy to. Thanks, Larry. Good afternoon, everybody. We'll start on page 3 of the performance report, where you've got a market value through the end of January of $446 million. A little bit of an overweight remains to equities, and then it's offset by an underweight to fixed income. We do have a rebalancing recommendation, which we were asked to bring back, so we will talk through that momentarily. Just in terms of the month, the investments were up about $9 million, as you can see at the bottom of the page there. Looking at page 4, so it seems like sort of off to the races. January was a great month, up 2%. Special fund ahead of the benchmark. You're seeing, index. You've got Russell 1000 growth indexed, and you're capturing the market returns there. As of today, that number is down about 4%, but you're seeing a little bit of a rotation from growth into value, and value's done really well this year. As of today, that number is like closer to 7. So the Prince is participating in that, in that rotation. So nice to have that diversification in the portfolio. GW&K, they had they up 3.9%, a little bit behind the index, and that's a function of stock selection in 2 of the sectors that they've been in, industrials and healthcare. And then looking further on this page, Pear Tree up 8%. So again, just kind of having the diversification to non-US stocks has been very beneficial of late to the special fund, and that remains the case right now. Looking at the next page, all the fixed income managers sort of flattish for January. Reams and Dolan on the investment grade side, and then Arena on the credit side up a little bit for the month of January. You've got the cash position there, which as mentioned earlier, that number is probably closer to, I would say, 5 with the purchase. Next page, we've just got the summary of cash flows, about $1 million out of the portfolio during the month of January, $9 million increase in the investments. Do have an estimate for February so far, and that estimate is up another 87 basis points, which brings the year-to-date return now closer to 3%. So that is a quick look at performance.
Great. Questions on performance? And I know we have the rebalancing recommendations that would be appropriate at this point to talk about.
Larry, you're on mute.
Thanks, Imran. So yes, you should have a document called Rebalance Recommendation. This is very similar to what we talked about last month. I'm going to skip to page 3 of 4, and this looks at the portfolio at the end of January, excluding. We assumed about $9 million would come out for the purchase. I think it was mentioned it's about $8.5 million, so probably close enough. And if you look at the second column, the 131 allocation in percentage terms, you can see that equities are overweight by around 6%, or around $27 million. And you can see the underweight to fixed income versus the target in cash. So we have to estimate cash is probably about 2.5% of the portfolio versus a target of 5%. So we think it'd be prudent to at least consider rebalancing closer to targets. On the very right-hand side, you can see the cash flows to rebalance exactly to targets. I don't think we need to necessarily rebalance every single manager, but it may make sense to at least consider replenishing some cash and perhaps taking some of the profits from equities and putting some more in fixed income as well. So happy to provide specific recommendations or just to get everyone's temperature on if there's an appetite for rebalancing at this point at all.
Questions for Larry or thoughts on this?
Yeah, Larry, I know you kind of mentioned it, the specifics. Do you still like the 9% target allocation for international equity?
I do. And I think, speaking of that, I think it might make sense to say, like, right now, Pear Tree is overweight by about $11 million, and you could simply take that $11 million and replenish that to cash, which is a little bit underweight by $11 million.
Okay.
That's kind of an easy trade.
I see. Yeah.
They're both around, one's around 11 million overweight, one's 11 million underweight.
Right.
And then, so
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I like the idea of rebalancing. I think it's a prudent thing to do every so often. And so I think we're overweight in equities right now, to be honest with you. So it makes sense.
Yeah. So that'd be about $11 million there, but overall equities are overweight by about 27 million. I don't know if you need to take all of them, but like if you look at the biggest overweight, you can see DRZ. They've had some pretty good performance, and so they're about $12.5 million overweight. So maybe take those assets and put them into fixed income. The one area you'll see within fixed income that's technically underweight is First Eagle, because that's been liquidated. I think it makes sense at this point just to probably put that in the Reams Core Fund, which is kind of market neutral to duration. It's kind of invest just like the Barclays Aggregate Index, and go from there. You can certainly spread it across all of your other fixed income managers if you like, but for simplicity, that might make the most sense.
Yeah.
Other thoughts from committee members?
No, I think the timing's good with the market being up. Might be a great time to kind of rebalance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree on that as well. What would be the specific motion that would help affect this?
Sure, I can go ahead and say the motion, even someone else will have to repeat it or say that's what they said. I'd say recommend to redeem $11 million from Pear Tree and to allocate that to cash, and to redeem $13 million from DRZ and to add $13 million to the Reams Core strategy.
Does someone want to adopt that as a motion? Take custody?
I'll adopt that as a motion.
Okay. And is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so that Aaron made the motion and Mike made the second, correct?
Correct.
I'm trying to do this for these recorded minutes now because I don't want Kara to give me any trouble. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Any other questions for Larry or Imran? Otherwise, I saw Janine has joined us, and would you like to provide any update or recommendations to us on agenda item 4 with Northern Trust?
So this one is a contract that we have through the State Procurement Office. They did the solicitation for us, so they have reached out to see if we wanted to renew. I don't know how much information, I guess, if Makita wants to jump in and provide anything, but I know it's an index fund, so I guess we just need to let the State Procurement Office know if we want to continue with this.
I'll just point out, if you turn to page 4 of the performance update, you can see the return of the Northern Trust Russell 1000 Growth Index versus the benchmark Russell 1000 Growth Index, and performance is exactly the same as it should be. Not much else to report on an index fund. It's tracking the index that it's designed to.
Yeah.
So in other words, we want to just probably keep it as is.
Yep.
So yeah, I just need, if you guys want to make a motion, and then I can let them know and they can renew it.
Yeah, so we need someone to make a motion to recommend continuing on with Northern Trust Index Fund to relay that information to the State Procurement Office.
Okay, I'll make a motion to continue the use of the Northern Russell Growth Index Fund.
I can second that.
All right, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Next item, review, discussion, or action on all special fund investment contracts. And as part of your packet, you've got a listing of all the current agreements, their renewal periods, and when their renewals are coming up. So any thoughts, recommendations from either staff or committee members?
So yeah, I just put this together so we could get an idea, because I know we are working through being able to do any further solicitations with the State Procurement Office. So I just wanted everybody to have like a little bit more wider view of all of the contracts and how long the contract lengths are, what renewal period we're in, and some of it was just information for me as to whether it's in the procurement electronic procurement system. But we did have a meeting on this last Thursday with the State Procurement Office regarding our concerns about the solicitation process. Specifically, we were looking at Quant Pear Tree because that's the one that we need to do something with. And we were concerned about not being able to extend that contract. So I think we may have a path forward to at least extend that while we work towards a solicitation. So I'm working on that particular paperwork to submit to the State Procurement Office to get that one extended. And then I did put together some information on Friday and sent over to the State Procurement Office. I'm waiting to hear back from them if they are okay with the proposed next steps to getting a solicitation going and being able to do it in-house. So that's kind of where we're at. If I don't hear anything by Thursday of this week, I do have a meeting with Yannette, who's our liaison. So I will get her sort of update on it to see if she heard anything from David. But essentially, I have to fill out some paperwork to get permission to do it in-house. And then I've also proposed that we would be following the state procurement or state procurement code, purchasing code, as closely as we can. And any areas where we feel like we cannot comply with the Arizona procurement code, then I would have to submit what those are and let them know why we feel like we cannot comply with them. So there is a little bit of process we have to go through, but I feel like we may be able to just hopefully work through those to be able to get something out there that's going to be able to get us back the results we need. So I'm just going to keep working through that. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that we will continue to run into these issues as long as we don't have an exemption, because even though we have statute, the statute doesn't say that we're exempt from the procurement code. And so all of the things as far as our own legal opinions that we're putting forth, I don't know that that is really getting the response back that we were hoping. Maybe if we get something from the AG's office to help us support that, maybe we'll be able to get a little traction, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
And Janine, as I look at the list for the current renewal periods, it looks like between next month and September, we'll have an agenda item at almost every meeting to act on a renewal. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do have, now that we're getting into it, the beginning of the year's slow, right? But then once we hit April, then we have a couple in May, June, and then, we just keep on going. Now, as far as renewal periods, like most of our contracts are 20-year contracts. The one that we have with the index fund for through the State Procurement Office, they would only approve a 10-year, and That even required special permissions to do because most contracts are only 5 years. So we were able to get 10, but you can see that we have a couple that are like say Reams is at, they have 16 renewals left, you know, so we have some that have like higher amounts, but we have, say, like Dolan McInerney, they have 5 renewal periods out of the 20 left, you know, so we'll start chipping away at those. You know, GW&K only has 1 renewal left. So those ones are going to have to, we're going to have to look at being able to do solicitations for those too. So that's why I do want to get something going as soon as possible to replace the Quant Pear Tree contract, because we'll only be able to extend it for possibly, you know, maybe 6 months to a year. And we don't want to have a whole bunch of solicitations going at once. That's a lot for the investment committee to have to deal with as well. So we'll try to kind of get those going.
Well, you could put them all on a one agenda, and we can meet in Hawaii, right? And take out on that. It'd be a fact-finding mission there. So, okay, just want to make sure we stay on top of the schedule here, and I hope that we're able to work issues out with the procurement office. It would certainly be nice if the Attorney General's office would give us an opinion one way or the other in terms of what they're thinking. So, any questions on this from anyone else? Okay, and were there any questions on the other reports of the? We have a number that where the original cost exceeds current market value by 25%. Okay. Not as many as past meetings.
Actually, there's it is pretty
Or
high
is
to this month. It's we have 76 items in total on the report.
I only look at the initial packet, and I don't check the rest of it. So I confess.
Yeah, but most of them are related to the index fund, and you should have reports for the 9, I think, or 11 that
Okay,
from GRZ and GWK.
I got this. Any questions on those from committee members?
No questions.
Great. No questions from the experts. I always look for that. Okay, and update for committee members on the Tucson property.
Yeah, so we went through escrow and we got the price reduced to $8.5 million, and we picked up the keys on the 17th.
Very good. So they lowered the price in light of the discovery of the 27-year-old air conditioning units.
Yes.
Okay, good. Any questions from committee members regarding this? So I anticipate you'll be working on upgrades or tenant improvements to the building throughout this year. Do you have a tentative schedule when you want to start moving staff over?
Yeah, our hope is to have all of the improvements done before the end of the calendar year.
Great. Okay. And anything else that I missed? Otherwise, we need to look at time of meeting for next month.
So we're looking at the 24th, 30th, or 31st.
Um, 24th is okay for me. Actually, I think what was 24th, 31st? What was the other date?
30th?
31st.
Yeah,
I can make
any of those days work for me.
same here.
Aaron?
Aaron.
Okay. Shall we do the 30th?
Sounds good.
Okay. And that would be at 1 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So we'll get it scheduled for that day. Anything else we need for today? Not. I thank everybody for coming, and thank you for bearing with me and sharing it. And we'll see you next month. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion that we adjourn. Make a motion.
Moved by Mike Kennington and is seconded by who?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Aaron. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. We are adjourned, and we'll see you all next month or sooner for some of you. So
All right.
take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Dennis.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.